The PlayAction Podcast is fueled by Picasso's Pizza, where every night is pizza night.
It is once again Bills-Dolphins week. This time the Bills hosting Miami in Orchard Park. Bills obviously got the win earlier this season, but now in this rematch, what are you looking for when it comes to the Bills offense versus the Miami defense, Mark?
Yeah, the Bills offense had an outstanding day in Seattle, and kind of looking for good offense to continue. I mean, Miami kind of built its defense to contain the Bills. Their whole plan the last couple of years, adding superstars, was to be able to contain Josh Allen, and they've had bad luck, honestly, injury-wise. Their pass rush, which was supposed to be, they hoped was going to be excellent, has been neutered. Jalen Phillips, their star young edge rusher from the University of Miami, terrible luck. He's out with an ACL after missing last year with Achilles. Bradley Chubb, they spent huge in resources on in draft picks and finances from Denver a couple years ago, and he tore his ACL last year. He's still not back. No clear return yet for him. And then they lose their best defensive tackle, Zach Seiler, who is kind of like who's a really good interior rusher, cut from the Kyle Williams mold. I don't mind saying that. And he's out. So their pass rush, which they thought was going to be good, is 29th in sack percentage. They have 9 sacks, 31st in the league. They don't have, their defense is not built to be blitz happy. That's what they would rather not do from the Baltimore family tree. So their defense has problems going into this game.
Yeah, like you said, those injuries have piled up on defense in particular, and this is also a matchup that Josh Allen has owned over his career in Buffalo. So where do you see kind of his ability to capitalize on this Miami defense?
Yeah, I mean, I see a balanced attack. The Bills should be able to run the ball between the tackles. Again, Miami, because they've spent so much on trying to go for it now, the win now mode of their front office and their owner Stephen Ross. They had to let their star defensive tackle Christian Wilkins walk in free agency to Las Vegas. So and now they don't have Seiler, so the interior of their defense is vulnerable. And so I think the Bills should be able to run the ball. I'd like to see, with both James Cook and Ray Davis. The Arizona Cardinals last week beat Miami on a last-second field goal. Arizona attacked the linebackers really well with tight ends. Arizona has really good tight ends, but so do the Bills. Yeah. So I think the Bills can attack the middle of the field. It'll be an interesting matchup to watch. Jalen Ramsey has been playing in the slot a lot more, and will they match him up on Khalil Shakir, who needs to be now has emerged as a player the defensive coordinators need to account for?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I want to go back to mentioning the Bills' run game and their offense. They're coming off a performance where James Cook had 111 yards on 17 carries, 2 rushing touchdowns. He was able to run all over Seattle. And then talking to guys from the team about what that did for them, they were saying how that just opens up the Bills' offense completely. And that's not something you want if you're Miami, for them to be able to be so balanced.
Right, and so the Bills, we've talked a lot about the Bills' third down struggles after it's been historically best in the league under Josh Allen. And, Sean McDermott mentioned Monday that after the game, one reason third down was so good was because we were a lot better on first down.
Right.
And so no doubt that helps set the table, and passes on first down help set the table too. So I think the same kind of game plan applies from Seattle to Miami. Both same defensive family tree. Miami also dealing with some defensive back injuries. That'll be something to monitor for fans during the week here.
They'll see Jordan Poyer again. He's I think had some plays against the Cardinals that were a little better than his performance against Buffalo earlier this year, but a lot of familiarity there in this rematch.
And his safety partner, Javon Holland, a very good player who's in, I believe, the last year of his contract. He missed the Arizona game. They had to play a backup Marcus May. That's a problem. If Holland is somebody to keep an eye on the injury list, and then their slot corner, Kader Kohu, who has struggled against the Bills, but he's still their best slot corner. He missed the game, he's been dinged, which is also part of the reason why Jalen Ramsey has been playing in the slot, like 45% so the last 3 weeks. The Buffalo Bills defense coming off a dominant performance against the Seattle Seahawks. The Bills defense did admittedly catch a little bit of a break. Seattle was without their best star wide receiver, DK Metcalf. Now the Bills get the Miami Dolphins. And the Miami Dolphins, unlike their defense, their offense comes into this game at full strength finally.
I feel like every time, if you've listened to this podcast, we talk about the Dolphins, we are always just talking about their speed.
Yep.
Their speed, their speed, their speed. And we do it for a reason.
Yep.
I mean, they are the best in the NFL when it comes to speed on offense. You look at Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, their running backs too, just how fast they are.
Devin Achane.
Yeah, and just the way that they're able to use them down in Miami of mixing things up just to, putting guys in motion and then having them capitalize on that speed. I think, it's changing the NFL a little bit.
Yeah, no doubt. This is a good offense. I know, because the Bills have dominated Miami, Bills fans kind of treat Tua Tagovailoa with a wave of the hand. Mm-hmm. But watching their game against Arizona, I watched their game last night, their offense looked good against Arizona. Now, Arizona's defense is not great. We know that. Their offense is good, mm-hmm. Arizona. Their defense is not great. The Bills, had a good game against Arizona's offense in Week 1. Miami looked good against Arizona's defense last week. Tua Tagovailoa was back, yes. And Tua looked good. He played a good game. You look at the numbers of Miami's offense. They're 32nd in points. They're 26th in passing. It's irrelevant. Throw that out because Tua has missed the last 4.5 games.
Exactly.
So they were back to their real selves against Arizona.
Yeah, Tua was 28 of 38 for 234 yards with 1 touchdown. You look back at last year, how he's just so fast to throw it too. He gets it out quick, and that's, in part because of who's catching it. They're so speedy too. But this is a quick offense, and the Bills defense, just has to be ready for that.
And I think that we'll see, again, an injury to monitor this week. Terrell Bernard, yep. If he's out, that's a problem because he is so fast and so reliable and tackling. So tackling is going to be huge. I think the one, one of the takeaways from the Seattle game is the tackling by the Bills' defensive secondary has just been great. Right from the top of the game.
Rasul Douglas had that early tackle for loss. Yeah.
Yes, that was, Christian Benford has been great tackling. DeMar Hamlin had a good tackling game. Even late, there was a 0 blitz. They throw it to the sideline, and DeMar, if he misses that tackle, it's gone. That's the way you draw it up when you 0 blitz. You can't miss that tackle, and he made the tackle. So good for DeMar. That's going to be Miami can move the ball. So the Bills' front four is going to be extremely important. The Bills' front four typically has played good games against Miami. Miami, Austin Jackson, the right tackle. The Bills need Greg Rousseau to play a good game in that matchup, and Ed Oliver in the middle of the line against Miami's middle three. He needs to win there too.
Another storyline to watch this week is Von Miller's return after suspension. He was able, per a change in the CBA, was able to be around the facility a little bit the last 2 weeks, but now he's able to actually participate, be fully invested, and play, which makes a difference.
Yeah, I'm certainly, not everybody agrees with this. I'm still in the camp that the Bills absolutely need a B+ A level Von Miller for the long haul. So they have certainly navigated his 4-game suspension just fine. Haven't really missed him, honestly. And but I still think he's critical. I don't know how. I think the Bills' MO is they spoon feed him snaps on his return here. But yeah, I mean, if the Bills are going to be, we'll talk more about Von Miller against the bigger matchups, Kansas City week when they need more of a closer. But it would be very. The Bills need to see Von Miller come in here and make some plays.
With another AFC East matchup on the horizon, let's talk about kind of the division in general and then look a little around the AFC, just the state of the union for AFC.
Yeah, I did. Honestly, maybe some fans did. I didn't see this big a gap coming. The Bills 6-2, Miami 2-5, Jets 2-6. I mean, I saw one of the websites had the Bills' percentage to win at 96% to win the division, and that's, I don't think, a stretch. I mean, obviously, Baltimore lost to 1-6 Cleveland. You can't take anything for granted. Miami's offense is good enough to beat the Bills. The Bills got to take care of business this week. But you look at Miami. Let's look at Miami first. 2-5, and they're looking like a 10-loss team. I mean, they got Buffalo at the Rams, not an easy game. New England at Green Bay, Jets at Houston, San Francisco, and then Cleveland and the Jets. This is a problem for Miami's season. Again, partly, injury, bad luck. But Miami, this is sort of like they're holding on to a shred of a hope. The Bills can put them out of their misery. And, looking long term, they got issues. They have no cap space, 0 next year. They have a bunch of ways to make cap space, but it all accounts to pushing money on old guys into the future. Tyreek extending, pushing his money in the future. He's going to be 31. Jalen Ramsey's going to be 31. Taron Armstead's going to be 34. I mean, yikes.
Yeah, it's a tough long-term outlook for them too. But just even this season, to your point, the injuries are a huge factor, of course, but I did not think the division was going to be quite like this at this point. And I mean, we're talking in October of just looking ahead to this November game.
Yeah, I mean, the Bills can't take any games for granted. The Bills need to take care of business this week. But then you look at the Jets, 2-6. And I mean, some fans might say, "Why are we even talking about the Jets?" I'm fascinated by the Jets. It's like the cliche, the slow motion train wreck that you can't take your eyes off.
100%.
I mean, they are like a train wreck with a tire fire on top of it, heading toward a nuclear meltdown. It's unbelievable how they could be this bad. With like their top 7 players are elite players, and so they get Houston Thursday night. They're catching a break because Houston loses Stephon Diggs and still doesn't have Nico Collins, who's out till week 10. But I mean, the other thing is Houston's pass rush is great, really good. That's a problem for Aaron Rodgers. And then you look at their games; they're 2-6. I mean, they got Houston, they got at Arizona, and it eases up: Indy, Seattle, Miami, Jacksonville, Rams, Buffalo, Miami. But I mean, they're looking like a 10-loss team. They got to go 8-1. They're not going 8-1.
They're not going 8-1. They're a team that I didn't trust going into the season because I thought they would get more injured, and that hasn't been the problem. They've just played terribly.
Yeah, their offense, because of their offensive line plan, blew up on them, has not been good enough. And if you're going to have a 41-year-old quarterback, you better have a great offensive line plan.
Right.
And so it's a second guess, but it hasn't worked. That's the reality. And so, Thursday night's game, I'm fascinated to watch to see how much Houston puts pressure on Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers doesn't like to get hit at his age. So what does that mean? It causes them to be a quick get it out of his hands passing attack. They don't, because they can't wait for attacking the field. Garrett Wilson is great, but he's catching all these short passes. So it really is a fast. And then they fire their coach. And they haven't won a game since they fired their coach.
Interesting how that happens. Yeah. Hilarious is a good word for it. Should we talk New England? I mean, they are in the division. They
just beat the Jets, but
Yeah.
long term for them, they've got a rookie quarterback, Drake May, and he has talent, but who knows? Who knows? I mean, you're looking at it, Miami, New England, the Jets. I mean, they're not closing the gap on the Bills.
No. Interesting division, not in the way we thought it would be necessarily. I thought it would be a bit more competitive at this point in the year, but AFC at large. What stands out to you kind of at this late October mark?
Well, the Bills have put themselves in position at 6-2 to position themselves for a better seed than maybe we expected. Obviously they've lost to Baltimore and Houston. Bad or damaging losses in the race for the top 3 seeds, with Kansas City being undefeated. But Baltimore loses to Cleveland. Now Baltimore's 5-3. Pittsburgh is 6-2. That just shows how these stubbing of toe losses really hurt. And so Baltimore has some tough games. They got Pittsburgh twice. Pittsburgh plays everybody tough. They got Houston, they got Philly, they got the Chargers. And then Houston has an easy division, but they got the Jets, Detroit, Kansas City, Baltimore, Houston 6-2. So long way to go. We can. But anyway, the bottom line is the Bills are 6-2. Keep taking care of business, and things may pan out for them better. They have an opportunity to make up for those 2 losses.
They sure do. That journey starts this Sunday, or continues this Sunday, we'll say, against the Miami Dolphins. We'll have all your coverage from the game and everything leading up to it at buffalonews.com. And make sure you're subscribing wherever you get your podcasts, as we'll be back next week.
Treat your team to the most flavorful pizza on game day at Picasso's Pizza. 4 great Western New York locations: Williamsville, West Seneca, Lancaster, and Blaisdell. Picasso's. We are Buffalo's Pizza since 1980. Order online today at picassospizza.net.